The Seneca Falls Convention, July 19th and 20th, 1848. The Seneca Falls Convention was the first women's rights convention in the United States. Held in July 1848 in Seneca Falls, New York, the meeting launched the women's suffrage movement, which more than 7 decades later ensured women the right to vote. Originally known as the Women's Rights Convention, the Seneca Falls Convention fought for the social, civil, and religious rights of women. The meeting was held from July 19th to July 20th, 1848, at the Wesleyan Chapel in Seneca Falls, New York. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, one of the meeting's organizers, began with a speech on the convention's goals and purpose.
We are assembled to protest against a form of government existing without the consent of the governed, to declare our right to be free as man is free, to be represented in the government which we are taxed to support, to have such disgraceful laws as give man the power to chastise and imprison his wife, to take the wages which she earns, the property which she inherits, and, in case of separation, the children of her love.
The convention proceeded to discuss the 11 resolutions on women's rights. All passed unanimously except for the 9th resolution, which demanded the right to vote for women. Stanton and African-American abolitionist Frederick Douglass gave impassioned speeches in its defense before it eventually and barely passed. The 5 women who organized the Seneca Falls Convention were also active in the abolitionist movement, which called for an end to slavery and racial discrimination. They included Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Lucretia Mott, Mary McClintock, Martha Coffin Wright, and Jane Hunt. The Declaration of Sentiments was the Seneca Falls Convention's manifesto that described women's grievances and demands. Written primarily by Elizabeth Cady Stanton, it called on women to fight for their constitutionally guaranteed right to equality as U.S. citizens. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, the document stated. Inspired by the Declaration of Independence, the Declaration of Sentiments asserted women's equality in politics, family, education, jobs, religion, and morals. In New York and across the United States, newspapers covered the convention, both in support and against its objectives. Horace Greely, the influential editor of the New York Tribune, echoed the opinion of many people at the time. While skeptical of giving women the right to vote, he argued that if Americans really believed in the Constitution, women must obtain equal rights.
When a sincere Republican is asked in sober earnest what adequate reason he can give for refusing the demand of women to an equal participation with men in political rights, he must answer none at all. However unwise and mistaken the demand, it is but the assertion of a natural right, and as such must be conceded.
2 weeks later, on August 2, 1848, the Seneca Falls Convention reconvened at the First Unitarian Church of Rochester, New York, to reaffirm the movement's goals with a larger audience. In the following years, the convention's leaders continued to campaign for women's rights at state and nationwide events. Reformers frequently referred to the Declaration of Sentiments as a campaign for women's rights. Between 1848 and 1862, the participants of the Seneca Falls Convention used the Declaration of Sentiments to employ agents, circulate tracts, petition the state and national legislators, and endeavor to enlist the pulpit and the press in our behalf. After 72 years of organized struggle, all American women finally achieved the same rights as men at the polling box when, in 1920, women won the right to vote with the passage of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution.